Thanks for listening to the Adam Carolla Show on Podcast One.
Well, first half of the show, we go deep into electric cars, electric trucks, what's next, what's affordable, what, if you got a teenager and they're looking to buy their next car, or you're looking to buy yourself the next car, what to go with from the electric stable. We get into that and really learn a lot about that subject. Cesario is going to come in after that. First, I'll tell you about Stamps.com. Anything you can do at the post office, you can do at Stamps.com. Save money and time. I've used Stamps.com over here for 10 years plus. Send out all the merch, all the books, all the paperwork, everything. Everything we do here is with Stamps.com. You can save 5 cents off every first-class stamp and up to 40% off shipping rates. Use your computer and buy, print U.S. postage for any letter or package 24/7. 700 small businesses use Stamps.com, and we got a special offer. Got a 4-week trial, plus the free postage and the digital scale. No long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone top of the homepage, and type in Adam. These guys are great. You'll never go to the post office again. That's Stamps.com. Enter Adam.
From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Jeff Cesario, with Gina Grad on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, and Matt D'Andrea drops by with the latest on electric cars. And now, Chairman of the Balance Board, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing this with a friend. Good day, Gina Grad.
Good day to you.
Handball, Brian.
What's on tap, bitches?
Matt D'Andrea here. Matt the Moderator D'Andrea is here.
Hello.
We just came off of doing a car cast, and we're talking about electric cars, and there's so much going on, and it's happening.
Such hot talk.
It's happening fast. So I thought, well, stick around.
Okay.
And tell us a little about what you know. You have a lot of knowledge about electric cars and trucks and where we're going to be, because I feel like we've been talking about electric cars for a long time. 5 years ago, I was going, I don't have $100,000 laying around to get a Tesla Roadster. Mm-hmm. Now my kids are 13, and their first new car is probably going to be an electric car. It's just going to be It's going to be easier. The price keeps going down. If you drew a graph, it'd be price coming down, range going up.
Yeah.
And so where are we at now? Like, what's some entry level stuff?
Right. Well, you're right in that pretty much every car company is moving towards something electric, and some companies like Volvo are going to go to all electric or hybrid. They won't even have just pure gas engine vehicles. So there's a lot going on, and so now we're getting into electric vehicles around the $40,000 range. Actually, lower than that. Certainly something like a Nissan Leaf at $31,000. And when the Leaf came out, it had a range of about 100 miles. But also when they rated it back then, if you were on the freeway doing 70 miles an hour, you weren't going to even get 100 miles. But now they rate things a little bit differently. They can use software to make that range a little more consistent regardless of speed. And a Leaf goes 226 miles.
Question for you, Matt. So it's not just because I'm attracted to electric cars. I've looked into them like for my next car, but like it's not just the cost of the car; it's the cost you have to put in the special like electrical outlets and stuff, right? And sometimes even for a Tesla, you have to have like a home battery or something. Like
you would need
costs.
You would need a charger at home, like Adam's got in his garage, because most of these need the 220, the 240, whatever you're calling it these days, and you need to kind of wire it up and put that charger in there.
Or you just pull into any Whole Foods and hang out for a while.
Right, you could.
There's the more that's coming up, but it is like a one-time expense where most of people's electrical panel is somewhere around their garage, usually, sometimes on the outside. Sometimes you have a sub panel or something on the inside of the garage. And a real electrician is going to have to do that and run it in some rigid conduit and stuff. And it's a little one-time expense, but it takes half a day to do, and it's not that big a deal. So,
and most of those chargers are a couple $1,000 to a few $1,000, but they are usually proprietary to that vehicle. So
there's not universal ones.
So there is a universal plug, like when you go to your Whole Foods or you go to the Santa Monica parking garage, but it's not necessarily a fast charger. And if you want that fast charging, you hang your Tesla charger in the garage, and let's say you switch to BMW i3 someday, it's already wired up, and now you swap the Tesla charger for the BMW charger, or you just continue to lease or buy Teslas, I assume you could probably take your Tesla charger off the wall and sell it in the used market to somebody else who wanted a second one.
We're also talking about adapters, but I don't know if that one ever, if anyone got to the bottom of the adapter.
Yeah, so I believe there are some adapters in the aftermarket. I just don't know
that can get you from
them.
Tesla to BMW.
Probably.
There's going to be a market for that in the next 3 years for sure.
Yeah,
so
as leases end.
The problem is people are afraid of fires and warranty issues, and if you use an adapter, does it avoid a warranty on your Tesla or something? And if you're, if you're 80, 90, 100 grand into a car or more,
just do what they say.
Just do what they say, right? Like for now, we're just doing what they say.
Where's Tesla and or whomever with the charging plate that you physically drive over, but you don't physically have to plug it in?
Yeah. So Tesla, like a lot of Tesla announcements, they have a lot of vaporware and not a lot of reality, it seems like.
Right. And, what about their 200-mile-an-hour supercar that goes 200 miles an hour?
Look, I like the idea of the just drive on. They also had the other one where like the quick charger would be like, hey, we can make it even quicker. We're just going to swap your battery. Why do you need to own the battery? You just own a battery. So you pull up into a carport, and a machine comes underneath your car, takes your battery out, swaps a new one, and you're on the road in 5 minutes.
Sure.
Okay, but we're a little ways from that, right? And it would be better if it was universal. If you can roll up most sedans and just swap batteries, then that's something you'd see in some, a more futuristic movie than you would with companies that are trying to make money doing that. So I haven't seen the charging plate happen yet. And the big question is going to be, even with our phones now, I have like a charging plate at home, but it doesn't charge as fast as if you plugged it in. I just picked up, got my mom a Toyota RAV4 hybrid. It has a charging plate in it. You just throw it down and it goes.
That's standard.
Yeah, not for the car, but for the phone.
Yeah, for the phone. It's just not as fast.
So you got a Leaf that's pretty cheap. You got a Chevy Volt or Bolt. I can't
the
remember
Chevy
which
Bolt. But
I think there's both.
No, there's no longer a Volt. There is a Bolt. But the ones that stand out the most, of course, are the Tesla Model 3, which is about $40,000, a little under $40,000, depending on the range and battery sizes. And that's how we're buying them, different battery sizes. And a Model 3 can go somewhere from 200 to 322 mile range. And if you can get into it in the low 40s, that's a pretty good price for that kind of car.
Where are we at with trucks?
Trucks are pretty interesting, but on the competitor to the Model 3, real quick, is the Mustang Mach-E that's coming out soon, and that's a good-looking vehicle. Yeah, it's about $44,000.
It looks nothing like a Mustang, but they're like putting it under that badge.
They are, and it doesn't. Some people hate it, some people like it. It doesn't matter to me.
There's a lot of badging going on. Like there's a lot of Genesis now is now not Hyundai anymore. Yeah. It's Genesis. Like they're sort of figuring out that we're going to put different badges for different things. It's kind of, I guess, and is diesel dead? Is there any diesel going on at all?
There is, but obviously they took a really big hit with the whole Volkswagen, the Audi thing.
Wasn't French fry oil supposed to be the wave of the future at one point?
Yeah, but nobody wants to fuel up at the back of a Chinese restaurant. So
I had a guy who lived down my street who'd converted his Mercedes diesel to run off the French fry grease, and it smelled like French fries were coming out of the guy's exhaust pipe. Yeah,
we just went through the process with Christy getting a new car, and we looked all up and down for diesels, and a lot in Europe, not a lot in the U.S.
Wait, why was she? Did she want a diesel?
She had a diesel. The Range Rover was a diesel. She loves it.
You also have to keep in mind that there's an oil in the fuel. And when you go to the gas pump, you see like, hey, there's the 91 and the 87. Then when you get to the green diesel pump, it's disgusting. It's slimy and it smells bad.
Yeah,
and
it's pungent.
You always want to wash your hands. And by the way, if you've got a new baby at home, I don't know that I want diesel fingers, going on.
It's also
with the baby or with you?
Yeah, either one.
It's more expensive now than regular fuel, I believe,
It
as I
is.
was traveling around the country. So anyway, I think
You get twice as much per mile.
I think diesel,
per gallon, I should say.
Yeah, and I don't think it's quite twice as much. It's better, and you get more torque out of it too. But I think the diesel is going to be like the Beta versus VHS cassette. Like it's going to go the way the Dodo, and electric is just going to step in. When I think they gave me a Chevy Volt.
Yeah, when it first came out.
Yeah, several years ago, and the range was like 37 miles or something, and I drove it here, and I plugged it in. I plugged it in on a cord just like in front here, and it was here for like 2 hours, and it added 2 miles or 6
could
miles
almost
to
get
the
home.
thing. Like, it was really tough.
Like the early days of streaming movies, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
before Netflix really perfected
stuff
it.
just
3
doesn't
short days.
stuff-
Yeah, it's like, in 3 days I'm able to enjoy this movie.
Fight Club.
Stuff doesn't work at the beginning, and then it does work.
It does. Now that we're getting in so many electric vehicles, we have to look at how we're starting to test these vehicles. It's not all just about their performance or the range. It's about what does it cost you to charge it. So now we're starting to look into the efficiency of the charging. So if you charge the Jaguar I-Pace and you charge the Nissan Leaf and you charge it for the same amount of time to get roughly the same amount of miles, but what is it costing? What's the draw on your home, on your electric bill? And that's the next thing we're really starting to look at and finding ways to test it and quantify it.
Is it? I haven't noticed, but at gas stations, why aren't there? Are charging stations going to be completely separate than gas stations? Why haven't gas stations added charging stations?
Right. So the time is an issue that you're talking about. Is how long does it take to charge, especially with the 110 outlet?
And it's also like saying, why isn't there a burger joint on top of the PETA headquarters?
Right.
People get hungry when they go up there.
They don't want the competition.
I don't know if the guys who run the gas stations are happy about
makes
this
sense.
electric move. On the other hand, these
They
are some of
gotta
the worst
join.
people on the planet, so I will be delighted when they all go out of business.
The infrastructure for charging an electric car publicly is pretty terrible. In my opinion, it's terrible. The few chargers that are out there could often be a line, or it takes forever, or you have to park it there all day. What these car companies are banking on are you charging your vehicle at home. They want you to do it at home. And if you can afford solar panels and things like that, you can start to offset the cost. And now they're trying to encourage companies, larger companies, to install these charging stations in the parking garages of their buildings. And I'm sure you're going to find more office buildings or like WeWork, those type of places that offer charging stations.
I had a funny thing. When you build a new home now, anything over $1 million or whatever, you got to put that 240 jack in the garage. But I'm so old school. I took a tour. There was a house that was in my neighborhood, and I'd walk Phil around, and I'd see this house under construction a lot throughout the last few years. And if a house is under construction, I'm always poking around, looking over the fence. Seeing
what you got over here?
Yeah, I'm doing that. Sometimes I'd have to leave Sonny because it said
Yeah,
no
you don't like it.
trespassing.
Oh,
And
he's not going.
He stood on the curb.
Yeah,
and I
rules
was
are
like,
rules.
the gate's open. There's guys in there working. I'm going to go in there. He's like, no trespassing. I'm like, all right, pussy, stay on the curb. Blowing cigarette smoke in his face. You
I'll
wanna be
give it a
cool?
I'll hold my cigarette while I walk in there.
So he's standing out by the curb. I'm going in. So I get a flyer in the mail a couple days ago, and it says the house is done and it's for sale, and you want to come take a look at it. And I go, okay, all right. I'm not going to buy it. It's $11.7 million.
Boy.
And I go, but
district.
I'll go kick some tires, you know. And two funny things. First off, when they're showing me the garage, I see the plug for the 240, which is a different plug.
It's like a round plug with like a smiley face almost design.
It's like 4-prong or 3-prong, but it looks like in construction we used to use twist lock plugs, or it had a different thing and you twist them along. But anyway, I'm looking at it and I go, I like you got the 240 in there in case guy wants to do a little welding, little MIG welding, or run a electric dryer or something.
$11 million house.
The woman's like, that's for the car charger. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
So we're going to have to ask you to leave.
You should just roll around the neighborhood in Lynette's Tesla and just charge every time you see an open house. Go, I'm here for the